Hello Year 6 and welcome back to a bulletin from Nottingham University Academy of Science and Technology. Now last week it was really great to see so many of you attend our transition presentations, and I really hope you got something out of that. Normally we would be inviting you to NUAS for 2 days, but unfortunately we can't do those transition days this year. If you were unable to attend, don't worry, the presentation is up on YouTube for you to watch. Now this week's presentation is going to focus on rewards and behaviour, so you may see some information that you saw in those transition presentations, but I'm hoping to give you a little bit more detail on that. When we talk about behaviour, we are talking about the way in which you act or conduct yourself. And it's really important that when you come to NUAS, you start thinking about how your behaviour has consequences. And it might mean you're making good choices and you're getting rewards and praise, or it might mean that sometimes you're making poor choices and there will be a sanction for that. Ultimately, you are responsible for your behaviour. So why does your behaviour matter? Well, you've probably had these conversations in primary school already, but positive and negative behaviour doesn't just impact your learning, it actually impacts the learning of others around you. If you make positive choices and are engaging in the lesson and are doing the right things, others are more likely to do the right thing and the learning will take place. However, if you're being disruptive, you're making those poor choices and you're not following instructions, you could actually be stopping the learning and the lesson from going on, which will impact others around you and isn't fair. And the great thing about starting at NUAS is that none of your teachers actually know your behaviour. So if you're making really good choices now, keep up the good work. And if maybe you've not always made the right decision, if you've struggled a little bit, now is the time to have a fresh start, put it all behind you and start in September as you mean to go on. And of course, if you make a mistake, if there's a problem, if you need to talk to someone, you can always come and find us and we will help and support you through this. Here's a quick activity for you to do if you want to. It's not your weekly challenge. What I'd like you to do if you want to is to reflect on your behaviour in primary school. I've got 4 questions for you to answer. Now you can do this by yourself, you can talk to mum, dad or whoever's at home. You may even have an opportunity to speak to your classroom teacher in school. You don't have to send me a response to this if you don't want to, but this is a really good activity for you to think about what you've been like in primary school, what are your strengths and what areas you maybe need to develop when you come in September. We're going to start by looking at the consequence system and the non-negotiables that NUAS has. Now, it's really important that you know what is expected of you every day and what is and what isn't appropriate at NUAS. So what are the NUAS non-negotiables? Now, just to help you out, this will be on a poster in every single classroom to always remind you about what we expect and what we don't expect. Now, the first one is movement around the building. We expect you to be walking around the building in a very calm and quiet manner. In particular, when you're on lunch, you've got to remember that other students will be in their classrooms because we have a split lunch. There's absolutely no running around the building at NUAS. The second non-negotiable concerns mobile phones and accessories, and these are things like headphones or other music devices. These are completely prohibited at NUAS. Before you enter the school building, you should have them switched off and placed in your bag. They shall not be taken out and used during lunchtime or break time, and they're not to be seen in the school building. If you do use your phone, it will be taken away from you. The third non-negotiable concerns uniform, and I will talk about uniform in the next bulletin. It's important that you remember that NUAS is a business environment and therefore you must be wearing all pieces of the uniform and in a correct manner. The fourth non-negotiable is about seating plans. Teachers spend a lot of time working out the best seating plan for everyone. So it's important that when you are told where you are sitting in a lesson, that you accept it and you sit there. The next non-negotiable is all about equipment, and I will talk about this in more detail in the next bulletin, but you must make sure that you have brought the correct equipment with you each day, so make sure you pack your bag and you check it before you leave the house so that you are ready to learn when you come to your lessons. The next non-negotiable is about eating and drinking. At NUAS, we have several areas where you are allowed to eat at break time and lunchtime, and that is outside, the downstairs cafe area and the upstairs canteen. In all of those places, you must be sitting down to eat. You are not allowed to walk around with food in your hands, so you must make sure you are sitting and eating. You are not allowed to eat in lessons. You are allowed a bottle of water, but you aren't allowed any other liquids. So do make sure you have water with you and you have topped up your water before the lesson begins. You won't be allowed out to get some water. And then the last non-negotiable on this poster is all about behaviour. Now at NUS we are a business environment and we do expect students to demonstrate mature behaviour at all times. And this is why we do have these non-negotiables, so they're very clear to you what is acceptable and what isn't. We do have two further new non-negotiables this year. The first one is a punctuality non-negotiable, and this means that we expect students to be on time for school every day, and we expect you to be on time for your lessons. You do have a 4-minute window to get from A to B for your lessons, and that should be plenty of time. The new non-negotiable is no physical contact, and we do ask students not to make physical contact with each other within the school day. Now, all of these non-negotiables are easy to follow. There are basic expectations. And furthermore, these are the things that you will have to be following when you start working as well. So it's really important that you try to get them right now. At NUS, we do have a consequence system for students who are making poor behavioural choices. It starts with a C1 and escalates to a C4, which is very serious. A C1 is given as a warning, something about your behaviour is inappropriate and you need to change it. Now, for many students, the reason why we use an escalating system is because their behaviour is disruptive to the lesson, and that means staff are prevented from teaching and students are prevented from learning. So after the C1, if your behaviour does not change, you will be getting a C2, and that means you are now disrupting the lesson. If you still don't change, you will be receiving a C3, and that means that your behaviour is now repeatedly disrupting the lesson. And finally, if you still don't change after that, you will be given a C4, which means you are now persistently disrupting the lesson, at which point a senior member of staff will be called and you will be removed from the lesson. And that's really important as well, because then you are not learning. So you need to be thinking about the consequences of your actions. And not all behaviour will start with a C1. For example, if you break a non-negotiable, you automatically receive a C3. Equally as important as this sanctioning process is our rewarding process. The first thing to note is in all of your planners there is a rewards page. This page is to be signed by teachers when you have an outstanding lesson, and at each 25 interval you will be seeing a member of staff. So it'll start by seeing your form tutor, and then you'll see me, and then there's a senior leadership and then the principal. Each time you meet those people, you'll be given a reward. There's also the house point system, and the house points are given for an array of reasons. You might get it for good attitude to learning, you might get it for a good piece of work, you might get it for changing something in your behaviour. Your form tutor might give you house points for signing your planner, for all sorts of reasons, and those house points add up. When we look at reward trips, one of the major components of who should be given a reward is things like house points. And our rewards have included going to the pantomime, going ice skating. We've taken students to Drayton Manor last year, so lots of exciting things you could be doing. Also, classroom teachers might want to send a positive postcard or positive phone call home after a really good lesson, and that'll go directly to your parents and they'll get some praise about what you've been doing really well in lessons. So lots of opportunities for you to be rewarded. So lots there to think about with your behaviour and our rewards and sanctioning process at NUAST. Now let's have a quick look at some welcoming messages from some current Year 7s and Year 8s. Okay, Year 6, I've now got some videos from some members of staff from NUAST. And last week, if you remember, the weekly challenge was to talk about your favourite book. And these members of staff are also going to talk about their favourite books as well as introducing themselves.
Hi Year Sixers, my name is Mrs Chowdhury, I'm Head of English at NUAST. I can't wait to meet you all in September. When I was your age, my favourite book was The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I strongly recommend you give it a read. See you all really soon, take care, bye!
Hi everyone, my name's Miss Johnson, and my favourite books growing up were the Harry Potter collection, and I first read The Philosopher's Stone over 20 years ago. Can't wait to meet you all.
My name's Mr. Cox. I love reading books as an English teacher, and when I was coming from primary school to secondary school, there were lots and lots of books I loved to read. I really enjoyed horrible history books. I had recently started reading Philip Pullman's Dark Materials, so Northern Lights, The Subtle Knife. They were brilliant. But one of my favourite writers that I started reading then, and I even still read today, was Terry Pratchett. And his Discworld books are really fantastic. They're funny, they're clever. I'm a big geek, so I love books that are to do with fantasy or science fiction. Anything like that I absolutely love. So that's some of the books I used to read and some of the books I still read now.
3 of our English teachers there introducing themselves and talking about their favourite books. And here are some of the responses I got about your favourite books. Really brilliant stuff. Again, it was very difficult to pick just a couple to put into the bulletin. There were lots of amazing responses, very creative, very interesting. So have a look at these. You might see yours in here. And of course, if you might get a new recommendation for a new book. Okay, Year 6, here's your challenge for this week. You've heard all about the rewards we have on offer at Newast. What I'd like to know from you is, what's your idea for a new reward we could have? Now, you need to be persuasive, so you need to convince me this is a good reward. So please tell me why you want this reward, who should get it, how it can be earned. Can you also let me know if it's going to be a weekly reward or something maybe quite small, or a bigger termly or even yearly reward? Be as creative as you like with that, be as imaginative as you like with that. I mean, it's potential we might even use some of them. So please do email them to me. So it's been a very long bulletin this week, so thank you a lot for listening to this. I know there's lots of information there. Any questions, please do email me, and have a great week this week. Take care.